Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's show of the Party Invite podcast. No, what is this? The Party Invite show? This is episode 114 or 115. It depends if you're asking me or Vilos. We're back, the three of us. I'm your host, Tegan. We're joined by Vilos over here and Sovereign Sid.
Hello.
This week, hopefully, my audio is just a little bit better because, wow, boy. Yeah, I bought a new headset last week and sure didn't know how to use it. So, apologies to everybody for my personal audio last week. Let's see. So this show is part podcast, which is what we've been playing, and party topic. We've got a good one this week, followed by a game stream. So we'll be playing some games later. I think we'll see a lot of Vilos playing some games from Steam's. The Steam Next Fest is officially over, but the summer sale is still going on, and there are a ton of demos still available. But before we get to all of that, let's talk about Blissin' Up, something that made each of us smile this week. We take submissions in our Discord. We have a channel that you can tell us what made you smile this weekend, and if you'd like, we can read it on the show. But I wanted to talk about the thing. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this for so long, y'all. My new graphics card finally arrived. You can't see it apparently because my green screen.
It's too NVIDIA green.
How can I? Oh gosh, what can I do to make this appear on screen?
It does almost fill up the frame though. That's wild.
It does. This thing is so big, y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna stand up. Okay, this is my whole body. Look how this is the size of my whole body.
God.
It's so big. Yeah. It is half the size of the PS5. It is almost exactly 50% the size of the PS5,
and the PS5 is fucking thick, dude.
It's thick. I did my first and only unboxing video with the PS5 when it first arrived, because it's funny. So we got a PS5 on day one, and people were like, "Oh man, Tegan, how'd you get the hookup? That's so cool!" And I'm like, "The hookup was I happened to be engaged to the woman who won the Sony lottery, because she just had her name drawn out of a hat, and Sony." Allowed us to buy it on day one. So I remember taking the PS5 out of the box, and I was just blown away by how big it was. It was huge. So this time, I just took it out of the actual box. I mean, this thing is like so big, dude, that according to PC Part Picker, it will fit in my case and on my motherboard and stuff, but
your case is gonna be like, kill me.
I'm kind of nervous about it.
You are over encumbered.
So that's really how I feel. So I'm thrilled that that's here because that means we can do a lot more stuff with the show, with streaming, with Discord, sometimes all at the same time. Really looking forward to that. That's gonna kind of let me level up my setup here. I also got a new microphone. I got finally the adapter that's going to let me do blah, 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 fun stuff. That's all very exciting, except I'm about to go out of town. I'm about to go to Kansas City and hopefully see you two and Chris and a bunch of other people, family and all that stuff. So I knew when this thing arrived a couple nights ago, I was like, I know that if I open up my computer, it will not be fixed in time for tonight's show. So I had to just leave it. And I know that even now, if I take it apart, it just won't, my computer won't be turned on for way too long. So I'm going to wait till I get back from vacation. And then I'm going to perform surgery on this whole thing. We'll have a new microphone. I've got my new headset, which is why my audio was so bad last week. Oh gosh, how embarrassing. But yeah, new headset, new video card, and an actual good microphone, y'all. It's the summer of Tegan. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's so hot out,
Well, it will be after July, because during July is the summer of Sov.
Oh, that's right. Sov season.
Yeah, literally, Sov will not let you get away with anything. Like it's Sov's time. Period.
Yeah.
So thank you for personally coming to visit me for personal reasons to visit me. That's the only reason you're coming. It's because of me.
Yep. We're yep. In fact, yeah, I tried to clear all my other plans. I told everybody I was just gonna see you the whole time, but people started fighting me. So if you can...
okay, I will deign for you to allow yourself to see other people. It's fine.
All right, I'll let them know. Let's talk about what you guys are gonna blisten up. I'm gonna text all my friends and let them know that I can actually see them. That you deigned it for the week. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. So yeah, big things. It's like, actually, let me say this real quick. I am excited to have all this big hardware, but I want to remind people that there are also tons of great ways to stream without having a lot of hardware. Because I'm remembering, like, most of the issues that I've ever had with streaming were user error. It wasn't my hardware. It wasn't anything else. It was that I mess up with software or I just forgot to do something. And a lot of those are just my personal things, but it did remind me how much you really can do with very little when you want to stream. So for any creator out there who thinks they can't stream because they don't have a strong enough computer, or maybe they're nervous that their mic's not good, or maybe they're just nervous because they've never done it before, there's so many tools out there to help you get started, tutorials and so many things. So if that's something you want to do, we also have a great creator lounge. We have an area in our Discord just for giving and receiving feedback on stuff like that. So we'd love to hear from anybody who falls in that category, who wants to create and is either nervous about starting or is looking to kind of level up and hear feedback from people on what they should do next. We've got a lot of great people who we shout out on here all the time, who've offered just invaluable support to
like
the three of
literally
us.
everybody in here right now. Look, and Chrome shows up right when we're doing that. Yeah, like
This guy.
literally everybody in chat right now.
Yeah. So there are just so many tools out there. I mean, every year I'll say that there's never been a better time to be a gamer. I would say the same thing about creating. Whether you're doing video game content or making music or anything else, there's never been a better time to be a creator, I think. So all you got to do is start. You can't be worse than me. Let's see. All right. Well, how about you two? What's good on your front?
Well, I'm just going to be talking about my car because I'm so proud of how far she's come, despite my every last effort to sabotage her entire existence. So recently, as we all know, I just got her back from the shop. She got a whole
Happy to hear
BBL with a nice new back bumper. I'm still working on somehow conveniently being front-ended by some other car so they can pay for my front bumper.
Is that how it works?
I'm not trying to pay for that myself. Just like, oh no, you're turning in the wrong lane. It would be a shame if someone were. Oh no. Well, give me your insurance. No, for legal reasons, that's a joke. But I just got my tags done yesterday, which is something I'm super proud of because last year when I went to go get my tags done, I found out that I've been driving for a year with expired tags.
Hey.
And nobody told me because I was expecting to get the form in the mail or something. They sent it to my mom because she's like the primary signer or whatever it's called. So I was just like, I guess I'm fine. Do. And then one day, I just got pulled over at night for no reason. I was just like, oh no, here I am. Let me just break out the makeup and everything. So the officer stops me and he's just like, hey, your tags are expired. I was like, they are?
Excuse me?
And sure enough, they were a year old. So this time I got ahead of it and I spent 3 hours at the DMV just playing Pokemon Stadium and waiting to have 5 words with the lady, sign a document and leave and then stick the sticker on there. It was the best time of my life. It was great.
Get out of here now. Were those the 5 words?
Those are perfect words to say, yeah.
Oh no. She was just like, get your registration here, please. Something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Math's not my specialty. So what was that? 10 words? So I got the tags done and then I'm getting oil done and I'm so proud of myself because I'm usually so irresponsible with my cars. And we got the whole set of tires on her and everything. I'm just celebrating Saoirse right now because I don't see I don't get to talk about her enough unless she's in trouble. So this time I'm praising her existence. Go Saoirse. I love you. We're gonna be taking care of you. And I hope that we pay you off soon because I'm running out of money, y'all. If you want to donate to the soft fund to help pay for Saoirse, come and see me in Kansas City, just like Tegan.
Yeah.
Thanks for the money, Tegan. I mean, what?
Yeah, I don't trust wire transfers, so yeah, I'm flying out to hand it to you in person.
That would actually be really funny if someone was that averse to technology that they would visit someone in person just to avoid that.
They're out
Oh,
there, man.
they're definitely out there. I mean, Vilos, you're using cash for stuff, right? You know, sometimes you just gotta. Some people are like, I won't accept, you know, card or Venmo or
Landlord,
any of that
man.
stuff.
Landlords.
It'd be like that.
Yep.
Well, Vilos, what's good with you?
Man, I've had a lot of bad,
Oh
but
no.
I got some good, and today was one of those. So a couple days ago, I ordered things from Amazon because a whole situation I'm now basically delivering. Everything I am buying, like groceries and everything, is delivery now because I don't have a car. So
Because it had expires tags and they took it, right?
oh yeah, sure, that's totally what happened. So I grabbed some things from Amazon Prime because I have a Whole Foods like half a mile away. So I walked there and I got Cult of the Lamb the other day,
Oh
retail
hell
copy of
yeah,
that, and started playing that. Good time, love it already.
it's a good
But
one.
I got two particular things that I've been really excited about for a long time. And first one is Front Mission First. This is the cover looks funny because it's a lenticular thing. I don't know if you can really
Oh,
see it like
cool.
this.
Like the kind that you can
Um,
like scratch on it and it sounds like a disc jockey.
Exactly. And so this is a Microids physical copy. So they always do really cool stuff. They do the lenticular, the really good plastic dust cover, and this came with a couple really cool uh, little art prints and stuff.
Ooh.
But Front Mission is a remake of the old Front Mission. I've been really excited about it for a while. Obviously, it's a mech game. If you're not familiar with Front Mission, it's a mech tactics game, and
It's
I am
mechtastic.
exactly.
Mech Tactics like Into the Breach?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Except it's actually a more realistic graphical style. So
Into the Breach
really,
is like, oh, these are huge
yeah.
mechs, but they look like they're that big.
Yeah, they're micro machines.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game is super cool, and I really cannot wait to get into it. But what I've been most excited for, despite that, is just Amazon gets you sometimes, and I've already showed off one of these before. So I had the Splatoon Switch case and a game card case, by the way, the Splatoon one, and I got the Switch one a few weeks back. And so, as you can see, oh man, it's hard to hold them. Like this one, it's got
That's so
24,
cool.
24 cartridges, and each of those, all right.
Oh,
But
how much do you practice that snap? You're like, hey girl,
hey, listen, it sounds good. I don't know
when you
if it'll.
propose to somebody, can you put 24 rings in that thing and
Yes.
be like, hey girl?
I don't know if
I mean, that
it'll.
situation looks familiar to me,
Uh huh. Uh huh. I don't know if you can hear the
What's going on?
satisfying snap though.
Yeah, it's like that soft.
Yeah.
It's like a good
It's a
clasp. It's like a padded.
Yeah, it's a magnetic clasp. So, but saw this really cool case on Amazon, and I had to get it. Don't be jealous of. But this one that is almost an exact copy of the new Zelda Switch, the new OLED Switch, and it is for 48 cartridges. So like yes, yes, and I might have to get the Zelda OLED just to match it. But now I can
So about
actually
that
hold all my.
upcoming birthday.
But yeah, now I can actually hold all my Switch games because I got like 75 something, 75, 80, I don't know. I can actually hold all my Switch carts in these three things. Super compact, like very excited about that because I previously had a binder style one. So yeah, I could literally fit all my Switch games into this little thing right here.
Nice.
Just these three. So I'm super psyched about that because my life is turning into like the minimalist dream very soon. So yeah, that's it.
Bet. Carry your life on your back. With carrying cases like that, you can. Like, I love how comically small. Like, if you buy, I mean, well, this would be a great thing to talk about later, in our physical discussion. But getting like a Nintendo Switch case that's this big, this big, but then the cartridge inside of it is just itty just a 50th of the size of the case. Like you crack it open and it's like, wait, really? Like the first time
Yeah.
I saw a Nintendo, let's see, which one was it? I guess it was a Switch game. But it was similar like when the GameCube CDs were so small.
They're so
Mhm.
I
tiny.
remember cracking
Yeah.
it open and I was just like, wait, what?
What the hell?
Why? They tricked me. Why give me the whole thing? Uh, but yeah, cool, man. Yeah, you're always collecting that stuff. When do we get a full showcase of like a catalog, right? When do we get a catalog of all the goodies? I feel like we could
Oh,
even do our own like
that'll happen
Foley
again
work.
later this year for sure.
We need to
Because
have like a calendar with the pictures of all of your like collector's items just on every month.
we have like an advent calendar for the physical collection. That would actually be pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, like in Devolver's digital thing, the Volvi Returns thing we just watched,
Yeah,
right? They have like the 15-minute countdown that we watched, which had trailers and stuff in it at the beginning. But they have the animations, like, hey, in 15 minutes we're gonna start. I just imagine like every time there'll just like be a really an inexplicably high definition showcase of like some statue or game or something that you've got. That's just like, oh, check this one out. Or even have like the shopping network, the home shopping network stuff at the
yeah.
bottom
Hey,
with
I could
the.
I could get a little turntable thing. Yeah, I
That'd
could
be
do that.
That's
fun.
actually really cool.
Well, it's
One of
never
these
gonna
days.
I
happen.
do want to know how big are those cases, and also where did you get them? Because
They're
I missed
literally
where you
like
got
the
them.
size. They're literally like the size of my phone. So Amazon has like at least a half dozen different companies that sell
Okay,
them.
yeah.
But I could definitely send links to anybody that wants them. By the way. But yeah,
The
Because
people
I
like
need
want
one
them.
for my
literally,
slate because I just have like these little tiny.
it's legit the size of the Pixel 6a, but a little bit thicker. This is the big one. The other ones are actually almost exactly the size of this phone. So
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
a
I'll
little
look into
over
it because
6 inches by
I would like some more storage options for my Switch games.
Oh
I
yeah,
haven't
I'll
bought any
send you
more, but
I'll
it's
send
because I
you
ran
all
out of room. So
Well, hell yeah. All right, well that's a little blissing up. Yeah, the stuff that's making us smile this week. I'm glad we all got stuff to be happy about right now. We talked in the pre-show of how the entire country is melting right now due to heat. So, it's nice to be able to come together and smile about stuff. Okay, so
yeah,
that's
if you ever see us with a frown, it's not because we're actually frowning; it's because our faces are melting off of our face.
yeah.
So it's just like,
Well, enough smiling. We're allowed to melt now because now Blissin' Up is over, and we're going to talk about what we've been playing. So this week, we've got a few things. We've only got three of us. Chris is out, and normally we have like two games each, but it looks like we've got Vilos and I only have one apiece, and Sav, you got a classic in there. Um, I'd say you got some Sav classics, right? Like you've got a couple bingo card mentions in here. Sav, let's start with you, and let's see. Let's start with Splatoon 3, if that's all right. I'll see if I can wrestle up the footage that we had from the past. I'll let you
okay,
know when
sure,
it's on screen.
yeah, for sure. This is going to be another one of those times where I talk about Splatoon for like a straight month on the podcast because I mean that's all I've been doing right now. Remember when I did that with Macarena?
Oh my
That's
gosh!
all. It's,
Remember when I hosted a podcast with Cam Koenig and I talked about Apex Legends every
that
episode for
was
like
Oh
such a
my
fun
god,
episode.
that was so long though. It was
yeah,
like a lot of minutes every episode.
every episode. Yeah.
I remember when you had me guest star on there, you made it a point to be like, okay, I'm not going to talk about Apex Legends for as long as I usually do, and then Cam talked about Destiny 2 for like as long as you usually talk about
Well,
Apex. I was like,
just glad to give the space to somebody else because when I get excited, I have trouble. Whew. Oh,
Same. I mean, that was me with like the Nintendo Direct last week. So, or last week, whenever it was. But speaking of that, the stuff that they're starting to roll out, some of which they announced during the Nintendo Direct, is starting to like make its way into fruition to the game. So there are more challenges that have been coming out. I think they're weekly at this point. There's one that is called a monthly challenge, which happened last weekend.
hmm.
And that was just making all of the primary builds of your weapon gears. It was only your primary abilities, not your secondary. So only your main perk mattered in your build, which I found really freeing because it allowed me to wear a lot of stuff that I don't usually wear because their traits aren't as good. which you can change. You can also augment those, but that takes time. I'm trying to win. I'm not trying to build. I already have my favorite set. So it's nice to break out some of the other outfits I've been wanting to make because I do have a catalog, y'all. I mean, surprising no one. Um, but this weekend or this last weekend that just happened, there was like the Foggy Notion one, and that's the one I was talking about beforehand on one of our previous episodes where it limits the vision of the area of your vision, and it's literally so thick, y'all. The fog is so thick. It's crazy because I thought that it was just going to be like, oh, it's a little bit of obstruction. It's fine. But no, literally, you could not see this far in front of your face until it was too late. And it was really cool because you had to change your sub weapons and stuff to like sonar weapons and enemy location weapons and things like that to get the information that you needed to be able to operate. So that was cool.
That's cool.
Um, that's really all I have to say about Splatoon 2, other than the Splatfest Splatoon 3, because we were talking about Splatoon 2 earlier, but Splatoon 3, the Splatfest is coming back, and as previously discussed, it is the ice cream flavor. I'm curious to find out, has anyone's opinion changed? Like, have y'all gone out and had ice cream in between the last time we talked about it and this time and realized the error of your ways if you like mint chocolate? Like, what's going on?
No, I did not. I did not change my opinion on it at all.
Wow.
Uh,
Man, that's weird. Adults are famously known for changing their opinions, you know?
Especially when presented with information that, overcomes their initial opinion.
Right.
Which is,
That said, I love vanilla ice cream. Like, I have no qualms with it ever, especially if it's vanilla bean. Like,
Yeah, vanilla.
I'll eat ice cream any day of the week.
Man,
and
I'll eat ice cream on this
most flavors.
podcast. I'll do it right
Exactly.
literally just reaches into the main fridge. La, la, la.
I did put our vanilla bean ice cream in the fridge a couple days ago, so oof. I did put it back in the freezer, but ice cream can only handle so much. Oops.
I will say that, like, I really like those candies that they give you at Olive Garden, like the mint chocolate candies that you eat like at the end. Like it's literally half mint, half chocolate. But I don't know why I don't like
The
mint
Andes
chocolate ice
Mints?
cream. I don't know what they're called. They might be those.
Yeah,
Pretty
Andes
sure
Mints.
that's
They're
what
the
they
most
are.
Okay,
common
like the
ones.
small rectangular thin ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you get them on pillow, like hotel pillows sometimes too.
Yep.
No, I just randomly get them on any pillow that I have.
It's
yeah.
like the tooth fairy, but
The toothberry.
every time you talk
I'm out of
about
money.
mint
Here's a chocolate. Like, maybe it's just like the fact that it's like cold mint. I don't know, because that is something that you do have to get used to. I mean, it's the same reason that like drinking a glass of like ice cold water or something after brushing your teeth. It's like it's a lot for your mouth. So maybe
Yeah.
that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's also a lot of ice cream. Like if you saw what ice cream looked like when it's melted, that's not dairy. That it's dairy like in a lot of ways.
Dairy-esque.
Yeah, and so like chocolate, where like American chocolate is pretty greasy, I'm okay with greasy American
It's
chocolate.
mostly air too, which is weird.
It's mostly what?
Air.
The
Like
chocolate's mostly air?
chocolate is mostly air here. Like if you get
Oh
a
my
Hershey's
gosh!
chocolate
Wait,
bar,
stop, wait, hold on. I just remembered we actually have a timer going, so keep in mind if we're talking about Andes Mints, this is your time to shine.
all right.
You know.
That's
I
fair.
did also. By the way, I did get that. I got some footage up from a while back that was playing. I can put it up again
I've
if you
seen
like.
it. I got it. Like I got us pulled up because of course I'm watching us because we're awesome and I hope you all out there are too. And make sure to subscribe. I mean, actually subscribe. Like give us money. No. But also, all of our socials, which we'll shout out later. But chocolate is mostly air.
We'll
Like
revisit this. We'll talk about this when Vilos plays this game tonight. We're playing what is it? Leica. Actually, how do you say it, Vilos? Real quick.
Leica, I think, yeah.
Leica ages
like
through
a
blood.
both.
We'll talk about how chocolate is most like air than anything else while he plays that. But actually, I do want to talk
But
about
vanilla's not, so choose team vanilla. Just
Wow.
put that out there.
that. You're gonna plant your flag,
And then I got strawberries in flavor.
I mean, yeah.
I guess it exists. That's what
strawberries
it's
fine.
too.
That's all right.
But the sneak peek for Splatoon 3. What are my numbers today?
Fine.
The sneak peek for Splatoon 3 Splatfest, in which you can earn all of the shell out conches for the machines and everything and start building up points and like reputation for your team, starts this Sunday. And you have all week to play until the actual Splatfest, which begins on, I think, Friday night at 7 p.m. Central, and then goes until Sunday. That's when it like really, really starts to matter when you pick your team and everything. So Choose wisely. Am I just gonna go ahead into my other game then?
I think you should.
Yeah. Okay, so other than that, I mentioned this a little earlier when I was talking about Listen Up. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Stadium recently, which is available to us on the Nintendo Switch Online app via the Virtual Console. And oh my gosh, chat is wild right now. Chat,
Yeah.
please.
This is what happens when you tell people to pick a team. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, I don't even want to read chat out loud. And only people who are watching us live on Thursday nights, twitch.tv/partyinviteshow.
Subscribe. um, but Pokemon Stadium has actually been keeping my sanity like in check recently. Like I said, I was at the DMV for 3 hours. Such a long time. And people that got there before me or after me were going before me. And I was just like, I need to something to take up my attention or else I'm gonna get mad.
Yeah.
So I opened up the Switch and I did not want to connect to the DMV's Wi-Fi because who knows what that's about. So I closed Splatoon 3, which I was playing beforehand, and I opened up Pokemon Stadium just like on a whim. And it's really, really different when you can't bring in your own Pokemon. And I don't know if they're going to implement a thing in the future, like some kind of like Game Pack Bluetooth app thing or something. I don't know. Probably on your phone, and it's gonna have the weird voice chat feature. Um, to get your own Pokemon in there, or if any stadium games in the future are gonna have that ability. But um, you only have access to your rental Pokemon on Pokemon Stadium, which used to be like laughable because it'd be like, why would I use those? I have my own Pokemon. Go Mewtwo. Like, so going through there and parsing through the catalog of all the rental Pokemon at your disposal, which varies from cup to cup because they have different rules, which allow and disallow different Pokemon, depending on the conditions. It's interesting and it's tedious and it's kind of hard because you'll have like a Charmander with Fire Blast and then Charizard will have Ember. Like,
Huh.
why?
Because
Yeah.
on the rental ones, you're saying?
Yeah, on the rental ones. Yeah. I mean, and neither of them have Flamethrower, which exists. So
Yeah,
it's just like,
they're very odd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shouldn't one of them have like Fire Spin or whatever, the one that you'd never leave on your
Yet none
Pokemon?
of them
But
have the optimal move. Period.
man,
Yeah,
just saying.
it's really
Just
weird,
saying.
and I wonder if it's some kind of like power balance sort of affair going on. It's just like, well, this Pokemon is a weak first stage, so we should give it the strongest move possible to give it the best fighting chance it has. And then it doesn't matter anyway because when you enter tournaments, they have a level like from this level to that level, right? So, for instance, the Poke Cup is from level 25 to 30. So, all of the rental Pokemon are always going to be on the lowest end of that spectrum. But then your opponents, your AI opponents that you'll be facing, they'll start off that way, but then as you get towards the end, they'll have one or two Pokemon that are at the higher end of the spectrum, like at the end there. And so, even if you give the rental Pokemon first stage or the basic stage Pokemon, those like Fire Blast, Blizzard, Surf moves, it's not going to matter because the Pokemon they're facing are probably going to end up being 5 levels ahead of them at the end of it all anyway. So it's really interesting to juggle like power versus strategy, especially when the Gen 1 mechanics are super broken and waking up takes a turn and being freed from wrap takes a turn.
Oh, I
And like
forgot about that.
it's the worst in the world. And if you get paralyzed and you get wrapped, it's over. Just run. Just run from
Forget
the
about
battle.
it.
Because like you can't escape. But the best thing about it is that first of all, Charizard is weak to ice. Loser. And um, abusing the toxic and leech seed mechanics because back then they worked on the same counter. So toxic, for those who don't know, is like being poisoned, but it worsens every turn. So it goes from 1/4 to like, oh no, fractions. It goes to like 1/4 to like,
Just say exponentially,
okay, yeah,
and you're
that.
good.
I don't think it starts at a 1/4 anyway. That's like way too powerful. It's like from 1/16 to 1/8 to 1/4, etc.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. But then leech seed is always like 1/8. But back then it was on the same counter. So leech seed would do its 1/8 thing, and then toxic would come in and be like 1/4. And then leech seed would do its 1/8 thing, and then toxic would be suddenly 1/2. Like it would skip, or it would, you know what I mean. So um, it was fun. It's fun to abuse. And Bulbasaur has that combination, but guess who doesn't? Venusaur. It has Stun Spore and like Absorb or something. I don't know. It's so weird. And I find myself using Fearow a lot more than I thought I ever would. And it's surprisingly graceful in battle too. Like when it's using like Fly, when it dives down from the sky, it does this like really cool pirouette sort of thing. And then like shoulder checks down. um, Yeah.
Oh, I'm muted. Thank you, chat, for letting me know that I don't know how to
Wow.
end stream. Thank you. That's what I get for like sneezing off stream. No, Odysseus sent a video in a while ago. I think it was him of yeah, all the kick moves in Pokemon Stadium. Where yeah, you've got really cool ones, and then just like the wimpiest, most basic, like, wow, look, I bonk with my foot. It's like, man, it's like that was a rental Pokemon. That's what that was, you know. That's
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
just
some of them have
wrap,
really cool
kick,
like
and stun sport. Probably.
fainting animations too. I think we talked about that at one point. I can't remember why we were talking about it, but I remember talking about how like Alakazam loses one of its spoons and it like bonks itself on the head, and then like Honchkrow like tips its hat when it faints. It's like, oh.
Oh,
And then Jinx, when she faints, like her wig just like pops off her head, and like
oh,
it's,
it does.
it's so funny. And she like vanishes, and her wig is just like, whoop. And
Oh,
then
that's fun.
Jigglypuff, of course, like pops. So like replaying this game has really like revitalized my appreciation for where the stadium games started, because we don't have a lot of personality in Pokemon like that anymore in the modern games. Like when we're because now that they moved from 2D to 3D, like the reason that they were so over the top lively in Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, and which it kind of transferred over into Coliseum as well, is because they really wanted to put the personality in the Pokemon when all they were represented by were these little pixel animations. Um, which didn't even move,
Right.
until like Black and White. So, well, I mean, quote unquote move until Black and White. And Crystal, they had like little animations, but then after that, they were static. Um, but then we moved over to 3D, and then everything just got so basic. I don't know how else to put it. Everything just looks so homogenized, I
Yeah.
guess I can say. I wish they would go back to giving the Pokemon that kind of spirit that they used to have in Pokemon Stadium. It's
Uh,
just it's really different. It's almost jarring to see the juxtaposition between the two. I almost want to go and see if there's a compilation that compares Pokemon 3D models then to like now.
There's about 1,000 of those videos. Yeah.
Well, I mean, objective videos, not ones that are just like, oh, Pokemon sucks now because this, that. They don't use animations,
The
blah blah blah.
internet? No, no, not on the internet.
I'll have to see. I'll do some homework. I'll do some searching on my own.
uh,
Um,
in Odysseus's Discord, he posted. Well, I'm just gonna read this verbatim if that's okay with you, Odysseus. I think you'd be all right with that. Um, this says, so there's a Pokemon fan game out there called Infinite Fusions where you can combine two Pokemon into one, and artists have created new sprites based on those combos. Here's one of the creepiest ones I think I've seen, and I'll get this in chat somehow. But this is a nightmare Pokemon. It is two Pokemon that I don't know of. I mean, I said maybe it's Tangela and like a Venus flytrap. Odysseus said close. That is Tangrowth and Mawile.
oh,
Mawile.
Mawile. Yeah.
Mawile. Yeah, I don't know what Mawile is, and I only know Tangela, but that is some nightmare fuel, and I'm interested. I want more. Watching Odysseus and other people play across Pokemon games that I've never seen before, and seeing, the 3D games, like you said, seeing Pokemon I've never seen before was fun. But the idea of creators combining Pokemon to create never before seen abominations, man, that is just right up my alley. I
I
want to
do
see that
wonder
game.
if that's going to be something they explore in the future, because where you go from whatever they've done now, they have like gigantification, they have like terrestrialization now with the gems like turning into jewels and stuff. So like, what do you do? They've already explored fusion before with like Sun and Moon with or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, where Necrozma fuses with like Solgaleo and Lunala. Even in Black and White too, they had Kyurem with White and Black Kyurem with Reshiram and Zekrom. So I don't know. Fusion could be on the horizon, maybe. I don't know. But we had like 3 years, at least 3 years to think about it, because it seems like a new mainline generation comes out every 3 years. Pretty sure. So let's see.
All right. Well, that's Pokemon Stadium. Pokemon Stadium and Splatoon 2. It's 3.
See?
3?
It is
Actually, which
three.
one is it? Now I can't remember. It
It's,
is
it's
3?
three. It's three. It's three.
Oh my gosh, that is chaos. Well, I'm Team Chaos, wherever that is. Uh,
Boo.
used to be a Team Order. Now I'm Team Chaos. Okay, well, Sop, thank you for that. Everybody, I haven't mentioned this in a while. Go follow Sav on twitch.tv/SovereignSid for more shenanigans like that. Let's see. Vilos, let's hop over to you.
Sure. Let's go ahead and do the Final Fantasy 16 real quick.
Yeah, baby.
And then Final Fantasy, another one is going to be the one to talk about more. So Final Fantasy 16. I meant to play it over the weekend, but I didn't really. I actually got a lot more time in it the last couple days. So, I mean, everybody's talking about it on the internet. The thing to know, and I mentioned it last week, I think, is that it's just Game of Thrones with nice combat. There's not a whole lot to this game, which is a little bit surprising.
Sab's Hawaiian bros got here. They thought they could get away, sneak away.
And so, like, I'm really enjoying Final Fantasy 16. It's just a little funny how it works because it just doesn't feel like an RPG anymore, which a lot of people are dragging it for that, but there's no reason to drag it. It's totally a really good time. The characterization is fantastic. Kotaku, I think, has written like freaking 3 articles on the character of Cid, who is a character that's in every Final Fantasy, but this time, and forgive me for not remembering his name, but the guy that had the stupidly gravelly voice in Game of Thrones that also was in The Green Knight, if you're familiar with that film, he plays Cid, and he steals the show because this dude has one of the gruffest voices of all time, and like the character is the old but not necessarily gruff, like stupid handsome character. That is your he's basically the person that's going to be your veteran presence, you know, your inspiration throughout the whole story, and his characterization is great. I think I'm 5 hours into the game or so, and we're already connecting Cid's plot points, like his characterization, with the first big bad that you know of, and her name is Benedicta. And if you want to play that particular video that I had,
Ralph Ineson is his name, the actor.
Man, I could not. I was looking all over. I could not find it.
Odysseus, I believe you are correct. I think he.
Oh, wait, I need to play this.
I don't remember if he does do that. But Benedicta, I am a fan for some reason. But no, this.
And you're not her only fan.
Yeah. So as you can see, Cid and Benedicta, they actually have a thing. It's very deep, and like I said, every plot point in this game is just Game of Thrones. It is so like filled with tragedy and filled with like every line is just so much emotion, and like the close-up shot of Benedicta powering up is just
it's about to go Super Saiyan.
Yeah, it gives you it doesn't feel anime anymore, and that's kind of an awesome thing.
It looks like anime.
Okay.
I mean, the combat system, and I haven't actually seen it in action until just recently. So when people were talking about, oh yeah, the combat's like super real-time action, I was like, oh, okay, so it's like, you know, that's cool. But no, you mean like character fighter, Bayonetta, DMC, freaking real-time action. Like, it's so cool looking.
Yeah, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
We're just gonna freeze on that.
Yeah, but that there feels like it could be in Game of Thrones still, because okay, yes, there's technical anime moments, but it's in the Final Fantasy mythos. Like it's not specifically anime, it's very specifically Final Fantasy. If you're familiar with the summons over the years, you know, these main characters are a lot of them are dominants, or they've got like 15 fucking names for the magic users in this game. I'm not even kidding. So everybody
like magic users, like you're a magician, you're a pyromancer. Is that what you mean?
Except not in different types. They're called dominants. I literally am just forgetting what they call them.
And 14 others we don't remember.
they have like 3 names because they're some of them are marked, which is not quite the name. It's very close to the name. Some of them are marked because some people like come into the world as slaves. Like just depending on their stature in the world when they're born. Obviously, you know, the whole lords and ladies stuff. It's very convoluted in a good way, but the magic users have this particular power play over like how the kingdoms are ruled, but the magic users are still pawns because the people actually in power are doing all these things to work against them. It's wildly complex and compelling, and I cannot wait to hear more about the story. Like I got 40 more hours in it easily. If you want to play the other
just
video,
the demo. And just the demo.
Yeah.
Please insert disc 3.
Yeah. If you want to play the other video, it is
Gotcha.
what all of you need. You all needed to see this
Hell
and
yeah.
hear it if the audio's on.
Oh yeah, let me get that for you. Hold on. Actually, I gotta.
This is Torgal, and he is your dire wolf. And you're totally not Jon Snow, but yes, you are. You're totally Jon Snow, and you have a dire
I was gonna
wolf.
say, oh, so you're I can't say what I was gonna say now because that would be a spoiler.
But yeah, Torgal here is best boy in the early game. You see him as a pup, and he's, oh my god, he's the cutest. He's the cutest thing ever. But there's like 5 or 6 different canned animations for whenever you want to pet him. You can literally pet him anytime he's on screen, and it is the best.
In the middle of battle, who's a good boy? What are you doing with it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you do get an achievement for doing it 5 times. I don't know if there's a trophy. I don't know if you get a trophy for doing it more than that, but I've definitely petted him at least 15 times by now.
At least 15 times. Like I can't get the sound to work the way I wanted to on the fly, but Vilos, trust me, by the end of the stream, we're gonna have it up.
Good. But yeah, this game's so great, and Torgal jumping into the fray with you, he's actually with you in battle all the time. He will come in clutch many times, and he's particularly good against certain enemies like plant enemies and other wolves and stuff. So yeah, I cannot wait to talk more about this game and get through more of the story. Maybe if other people are playing Final Fantasy 16, maybe we could have a little spoiler chat in Discord sometime. So let me know if you're playing it. Otherwise, I will move on to the other one if you want me to.
Sure.
I just have one remark about you said the slave thing. Black Twitter has actually been blowing up over Final Fantasy 16 because they were like, I understand why there are like no black people in this game. Because the repercussions of, talking about that.
And I can't wait to get to certain parts of the story that explain more of that because like they actually have people that are in royal-ish positions or royalty adjacent positions that end up slaves. So it's like, what is going on here? It's really fascinating though. Can't wait to hear more about it. Even though there's got to be probably like 30 more hours just in cutscenes. Can't wait. But in the middle of not playing Final Fantasy 16, the other day I got on Discord with Jerp, and I just played Final Fantasy 1, the Pixel Remaster, for an ungodly amount of time because it's one of those games. Like
I enjoyed that.
It's a very old game. It's as old as I am, and
old.
And it has no sense of direction at all. It does not tell you what to do in the slightest because of how old it is. Thankfully, there were some quality of life improvements here in the Pixel Remaster that make it a lot easier because it's so repetitive. The game isn't entirely random encounters.
Oh, it is.
It's just constant, dude. Literally,
I kind of miss that about Final Fantasy because it's just like it was frustrating, but in time, like that's what made it Final Fantasy to me. It's like going through Mount Moon and Pokemon Red and Blue. It's like your first step in there. Oh, a Zubat. Like,
yeah,
I actually really liked it because you never knew when the next encounter was coming, and so it always had you like on edge and trying to like manage your resources throughout a whole dungeon. Added like a layer of strategy to the game that I like really enjoyed.
Yeah,
yes
even like
and no.
walking through the grass in Pokemon, it's like I get why people would prefer to be able to see the Pokemon to approach them. But there's, like you said, that tension of like, okay, I'm going into the wilderness area, what what is there to expect? What's the toughest thing you ran into in one of those random encounters?
But see, the thing is, Final Fantasy 1, if you haven't played it, is Zubat Cave times 3. Stop.
Oh, I've played it
Times
before.
3.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't tell me that.
like
Zoo Trio.
it happens so constantly. Like, the best I think that I could get away with was like 15 seconds before the next fight happened. And so you're
That's
just
light. What are you talking about? That's light.
like, no, 15 seconds was the best time that I got. Like,
Oh,
and
okay.
I was like going block by block, technically, like just walking and not like pressing anything weird just to see what would happen. Uh, because you never know. Like, I think there's technically a system that it does run by. So like if you literally just tap the button to run, I think it actually does make the next encounter faster. But
They
anyway,
did that in black and white.
Yeah.
For Pokemon. I thought that was so interesting.
yeah, and so like I just grinded levels so hard the other day, and I had to look up one thing to figure out where the hell I was supposed to go.
Ooh,
And
cheater.
once I once I did that, it literally opened up the world to me, because it was just one thing that I was lacking, that I needed to absolutely pinpoint. Once I did that, it was smooth sailing. I was able to go to like 6 story beats in that like 5 or 6 hour time span that I was playing, and like I'm pretty well halfway through the game now. So I'm very excited about that. I've got like 2 or 3 crystals to get, so that's 2 or 3 main bosses and like a couple mini bosses probably to go. But it's super fun. It's technically laid back, even though it's nothing but random encounters. But
That's the best kind of laid back. Technically laid back.
But in that time, I made like over 100,000 gil just with random encounters constantly. So I was sitting there just waiting to stock up at the next town on potions and Phoenix Downs and stuff. It's nice to not have convoluted other things in the game style. It's just battling and talking to a few people. That's it, And obviously, I'm used to 150 hour Xenoblade games that have a whole lot more everything. So it's nice to have this as a backup RPG to play through. And it is one of the games that was on my RPG list for the year. So hopefully, I'm done with it in the next couple of days, maybe.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Vilos, how'd you name your characters? It seemed like you put a lot of time into that.
Yeah,
your lineup
BB,
here-
Bay, Burley, Boy.
Boy.
I definitely I started with Broly, and then I was just like, you know what, let's make it stupid, and I did. So that was honestly, it was like an old Fire Emblem thing I would do with the main character that you have to name. So yeah, that's one of the other fun things about Final Fantasy 1 is you can customize your party to begin with, and theoretically you can have multiples of the different character types. But like this is the prime team is these 4 characters that you see on screen. So if you haven't played the original Final Fantasy, just do it. Pixel Remaster is the best way to play it. And I recently got the physical copy as well, but I'm playing it on Steam just so I can capture stuff a lot better than I can on the Switch. But it's just such a good time, and it's so funny to play 2 games that are more than 15. It's like 25 installments technically between each other, and 30 plus years, almost 40 years apart. So it's.
Are you counting
it's
like
fun.
spin-off games like Tactics and Crystal
Yeah.
Chronicles? Okay.
Yeah. It's just really, really thematically fun to do.
Well, hell yeah, I'm happy for you, buddy. So, did you mentioned? I think you mentioned like fast forwarding the game to just like see what the variability in the encounters was like. Am I mixing stuff up?
Yeah, you can actually just hold a button down, and it automatically attacks, or it automatically goes through the battle for you, so you if you want to, you don't even have to play the game, really.
Lol.
That's one of the quality of life improvements, and every once in a while I'll do that because it's so slow. It's so slow.
I will say, while I do like the random encounter mechanic, I don't like that you don't know what it is until you see
Yeah.
it. And so, like in that light, I think that like Tales of Symphonia and similar games have handled random encounters really well because you get to see what kind of thing you're about to face because it's like an amorphous blob depending on if it's a monster or like a human enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you don't know what particular specific enemy that is until you encounter them. So it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not the like well equipped to fight a monster, but I can fight a human, so I can go choose the human fight, and it's still a random encounter, but it's
Right.
just one you can plan better for.
Yeah,
I do like that.
in here you'll get a shark and an eye monster, and then the next battle will be 9 mermen. Like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah, it's really funny how everything works in that game. Except I will say, like, it does hold up comparatively. Like, I play the first Fire Emblem, the on the Switch, the NES, Shadow Dragon and the Binding Blade, blah blah blah. That is officially the slowest game that I've played, and I will beat it at one point in my life.
Oh,
But it's
why? Why?
ac-
Is it fun?
according to no,
I'm
according
glad we
to
got
how
that
long
cleared
to
up.
beat. Like, according to how long to beat, I think it says like 50 hours. But it's literally the slowest NES game of all time, and yeah,
Well,
just this is much better, and I think it's technically like 2 years older than that game. I'm pretty sure it's 2 years older. But yeah,
oh my
that's
gosh.
my Final Fantasy experience is all I'm doing this week.
Well, I'm happy for you, buddy. And thank you, Odysseus, for mod and chat here. Let's see. All I have to talk about this week, I have this. I played the same exact things as last week. I don't really have anything crazy to report. I wanna show you guys. I have a couple pictures of this dungeon, darkest dungeon run that I failed. I ended up dying on this run, but I went to the so I've beaten the game once. I think last time we talked, I was about to beat the game. I was confident that I was going to beat the boss. I did. It was great. Um, I have a really solid team in the first run through Darkest Dungeon, this spooky Lovecraftian roguelike that I love so much. Um, you you go through 2 areas, and then you fight the final boss. You fight, whatever the final boss is, and if you beat them, you unlock the next chapter of the game. So I've unlocked the next chapter of the game, which unlocks two new areas. So I now have a total of 4 gross, disgusting, horrifying areas to go slay enemies in. And so in this one, on my first attempt on the new chapter, I went into the Fetter, I think it's called. I've only seen it written Foeter. I don't know how else to say it. But it is straight yuckers, my friends, to take a word out of Chris's book. It is like the plague fields. They're all of these farmlands that are just completely plague ridden, and all the enemies that you fight are like gross farmer plantation looking people.
Just
Like,
like real life.
oh man, just like real life. Uh, I got to see the famous enemies that I think are the grossest ones that I've seen so far in Darkest Dungeon 2, that are the goats. I wish I had a screenshot to show you of this. They're the goats that are like everything's infected with tentacle stuff. It's all really nasty, and they all have blight. And a lot of their attacks, they'll like spit on you or throw a bucket of like putrid whatever on you, and it's all
Why on
very
this journey
disgusting.
again?
Uh,
Like in the story, like why are they leaving the safety and comfort of a nice village to subject themselves to this?
well, funny you should ask. So, each of the characters that you use, that you play as, all has some horrible backstory of why they're either pursuing death or they're just intentionally being reckless to like forget their past and all this. Like every single character has done something horrible. Um, and so, like in this case, so my strongest and most favorite character in the game so far is the Hellion, the axe wielding barbarian type, or halberd wielding. She's super badass, and I've put all the points I can in her. She's as leveled up as I can get her. right now, because in between runs you spend your candle currency to permanently improve your characters. So she's the one I've improved the most. Well, I went into the Plague Lands. I got barfed on by all these tentacle goats. Because it's Lovecraft, so no one ever
I mean,
has a
it's
good time.
somebody's king, so yeah.
I was about to
Yeah.
say we're not king shaming around here.
So yeah, I got just demolished. I got the floor mopped with me. I had one character take fatal damage way earlier than I expected, and I just never recovered. So you can't end a run and like take your ball and go home until you finish the area. And I knew that was going to happen, so I spent every bit of currency I had to soup up this one character. So I gave her everything I could. We went into the final boss encounter of this region, of this terrible area, and I fought these cultists. These cultists are strong. They're they just do a bunch of stuff. It's a fun fight. You do this pretty much the same fight at the end of every area. They just get stronger. But she went in all by herself and she killed 2 out of the 4 cultists, which is like incredible because she had 0 health, because you hit 0 health and then every time you're hit at 0 you have a chance to die. She was at 0 health many, many, many times in that fight. But she lasted like actually I've got the other screenshot here. She lasted uh, 15 rounds. Holy cow! So,
Damn.
yeah. So she is a super badass. This is the screenshot I took right before she took her killing blow. But Sav, you asked
Pictures taken moment before disaster.
exactly. You asked why would they leave the safety and comfort of their peaceful village. In this one, that you barely have a peaceful village like in the first game. But when you unlock everybody's lore, you get to figure out why they are, you know, on the in your expedition. And so her whole thing is that she is this, she's basically an Amazon warrior. She is a part of a clan that's all about being the strongest. And on the night before a huge battle, she went and partied with her whole tribe, but she partied way too hard. She went and wandered into the woods and fell asleep underneath a tree. Well,
As you do.
as you do. Well, she woke up and all of her comrades were dead around her. She slept through the battle, and everybody died. And she's guilt-ridden because she couldn't fight in combat. And now, like she tried to go back to get back into the tribe to be like, hey, let me atone for my sins, and they exiled her, which is about the worst thing that could have happened to her. So now she's just on a mission to find glory in death. And so when your characters have a final blow dealt to them, the narrator actually says a specific thing based on who it is. And so, going 15 rounds, which is a huge number of rounds for anyone who's ever seen this game. Most fights go like 7 rounds max. I'd say between 3 to 7 rounds is a normal combat. So on round 15, she finally was dealt the killing blow, and what the narrator says, he says, she seeked a glorious death in battle, and she found it. And it felt good because I was like, you know what, this character just kicked as much butt as I've ever kicked in this game. She had everything going for her. It was just a lot of fun, even though I knew I was gonna die. It was really satisfying knowing, like having the knowledge base that I could find some victory in it, because this, like so many roguelikes, is a game all about building up your player knowledge, not just your character strength. So, yeah, so I mean, I just really had a good time playing that. I'm excited to install my new video card because my computer really doesn't like this game. Otherwise, I would have streamed it already. I can barely even play it because it is very much a when my computer will crash, not an if. So, I am really enjoying this game right now. The more I play it, the more I like. I still say that there are some design choices I don't love, like the fact that when you run around on your carriage, you're trying to hit every obstacle. Why would you ever want to run over every obstacle? I don't know. So I don't understand that. But the game is very fun, and that's what's the most important. And it's, Vilos, I can't believe you're maybe going to beat a 50-hour game that's not even fun. You're crazy, man.
I mean, yeah.
But different strokes for different folks, I guess. But loving Darkest Dungeon. You're gonna see more of that on stream. Bleak Sword, I thought I was gonna beat this week. I didn't, so I'm gonna grind off stream. That I quoted. I think I said something about that game being easier than it looks. That was false. It wasn't a lie. It was just incorrect because I hadn't played long enough to get to the really hard part. So,
I didn't get to see what level did you end on though,
uh, my character's
or
level
how far were you?
27, and I'm on area 11 somewhere. Maybe 3, maybe 8. It's one of those. But boy, the game is hard, man. It is hard.
Well,
And
it's called Bleak Sword, not Weak Sword. So
well, at the beginning it felt a little like Weak Sword. At the beginning, death didn't really have any consequence, and now when I lost my items, which before I was like losing my items not even a problem. Now when I lose my items, I am at a big disadvantage. So I'm actually going to try to grind off stream a little bit, so that when I come back 2 weeks, 2 Mondays from now, um, I think I can beat it because the end is in sight. But wow, I mean, the difficulty didn't just ramp up. It is nearly exponential. It feels like near the end, it is it is really hard to balance like fighting 5 enemies at once when like your parry ability, you parry somebody, you block right at the right time, and then you get 2 big fast swings in. You don't have invincibility frames during that moment. So if I counter attack when I shouldn't, like if I'm just button mashing and I'm like, haha, counter attack, perfect, that usually gets me killed. And earlier on in the game, it's not a problem at all. I didn't think I was going to have to learn to do better, but here I am. So we'll be
I didn't think I had to improve.
I didn't think I needed to. The game was so easy. I didn't think I
Although
was gonna have to.
your privilege is showing.
I know. I know.
I do think it'll be easier for you than Spelunky 2 was, though. Like,
Oh,
I don't think you'll have to do that many
I would
playthroughs. So.
definitely agree. I mean, the biggest part there is like when you want to beat Splunky, you have to start over every time. This game, you still don't have to start over. You are set back, but even when you lose when I lose my items, if I was a good enough player, I could still beat it. I guess you could say the same thing about Spelunky, but the fact that you don't lose your map progress, like your actual progression in the game, that goes a long way to feeling like you're still moving forward. So the fact that I have the choice to go back and grind, because I didn't even realize that grinding was an option, because I didn't realize I could go back and replay stuff. I hadn't really thought about it very hard. But the fact that I can go back and replay stuff, maybe find some of the enemies that I struggle with, and figure out where they first showed up in the game and just go beat the crap out of them. You know,
Yes, catharsis.
yeah. Hopefully, like leveling up takes a really long time now. I'm wondering if the max player level is like 30, or if there even is a max level. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna do that, and we will actually beat the game on our fifth session. I thought I was gonna beat it in 4 easily. My hubris told me that we were gonna beat it in 3 because we were kicking butt so hard. But boy, that sure didn't happen. I don't know why I
This
ever
time
say
was
those things out
different,
loud.
but in the
Yeah.
bad way.
So those are fun. But yeah, because I'll be out of town, no Monday night stream next week. Hopefully I'm back in 2 weeks, but that's only if my video card is installed in time. So we'll see. Great. Okay. Well, that's what we've been playing. Let's see. Let's take a short little break here, if that's all right with you guys.
Tonight, we've got a party topic that is all about the digital-only future. So sorry if I'm too loud. That's
Sound
just where
great,
I'm
buddy.
going with it right now. So the digital-only future is kind of a thing that's really in conversation with gamers right now because a lot of big developers are bringing their digital-only plans to fruition in a lot of different ways. So, like, we have the Microsoft Activision trial going on right now that's just upending so many things and throwing out so many truths directly from the mouths of corporate Activision and Microsoft, just being like, this is the way, and Sony as well. Like, the big companies just telling us what their plans have been this whole time. A lot of truths coming out, and a lot of with all these announcements that have been showing up, we're also getting uh, very, very in-depth information on so many games. Like the Alan Wake 2 is coming out only digitally. There will not be a physical, period. We got news that Starfield, we had some confusion. Starfield, the Constellation Edition is a digital specific, but there is going to be a physical. But there was huge debate, huge conversation. There were there were fights over, I think it was like Brazilian, Bethesda's Brazilian team or something like that, the social media team that was talking on Twitter in a support thread. They're like, oh yeah, the game will, I think they said that it was only digital in all versions or something like that, and it just lit Twitter fire. But suffice to say, the conversation is real. The conversation is constant. But right now, we're looking at a future that actually is becoming digital only. And that we collect a lot of stuff. I collect a lot of stuff specifically.
Yeah, you do collect a lot of stuff. I can never show you what my room looks like. I've been living in this place for a while, and I have picture frames leaning against the wall. Never even hung them up. If I ever collected something, it would just be stuck in a box in my closet because I'd forget to set it out. So we kind of represent both sides of this, right? Like you two both love your physical stuff, not just like the physical disc, but you like the collector's editions of things. You like, to be able to show the stuff off, behind you, Sav, especially. Vilos, you love to be able to touch, a bunch of the memorabilia that you get with your collector's edition. Oh, that's a good shot. That's a good shot, Sav. Yeah, and then I'm on the other side of this where I'm like, I'm an outsider to this world. So when this, I think to me, you two are in the minority of most of the gamers I've ever known personally. Where most of the people I know personally, they might see an Overwatch statue that's really cool, but that would be the only thing they would buy, or some cool sword, But you guys are like all out in it. So then when I see companies making moves to move towards digital only, to me, not really that big a deal. And games preservation is its own like conversation as well. I mean, actually, as an aside, Vilos, we had talked, all three of us had talked about how the Cycle Frontier is going offline permanently in September or something, which is a shame. It's a shame that it's not going to work out. The game's going away because there were too many cheaters. But the disappointing part about this is it's an online only game, and when the servers go offline, it's gone. There's no games preservation there. There's no way to possibly play the game anymore. And so with the physical stuff that you've talked about, it's not just about having a cool collector's thing. It's like, hey, what does this actually mean, for the future? So like, what are some examples? You're always in the know of this stuff. You're a resident, not just antiquarian. I think that's what I called you once upon a time. That's a class.
I hate it, but okay.
Darkest Dungeon. Oh no, come on! You like your baubles, and if I have a question, you're the guy I'm always gonna go to.
But I'm not sitting here collecting pops. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't have any figures, unless you count the Samus Emmy double pack amiibo. That's the only thing I have. Okay.
Yeah, me too. 2 full boxes full of amiibo sitting in my closet.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that, especially with the Switch, it's the collecting has exploded hardcore, and I'm not necessarily collecting. I will say that my thing is particularly, I want a very specific number of things to keep forever, and it's not a I need, what is it? I think it's JP Switch Mania. If you know him on Twitter, he's got like 4,000 something Switch games, and obviously like half of those are crap, right?
Was he the guy that you mentioned who bought every single game from like the PSP library or something?
The N64 library.
Yeah, is that person who did that?
I don't think he's the same person. No, I think that's a different one. But JP Switch Mania, he literally, like, he changed. He bought a new house, and his entire basement, and we're talking like a good 40 by 20 or so basement, is just wall to wall Switch.
He needs a collector's edition storage unit.
Yeah,
stuff.
It's wall to wall Switch, and he's got like, I think he had like 15 N64s in box. It's a stupid collection, but if you're ever interested, JP Switch Mania is.
Is he single?
Like, no, but you also know you don't want to.
Oh
no! That's another point. But yeah, for me, it's very specific titles, and there's an artistic lean to it. maybe not when I got a House of the Dead remake, but sorry.
Talkable.
But at the end of the day, we collect for various reasons, but these companies are doing very specific things, and in the long run and in general, I agree with it because I'm all about recycling and not destroying this planet faster.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
But that's not always the reasons why these companies are doing it. So to get it a little bit more specific with some of these, Nintendo is bringing out some of their re-releases on digital first. So they're like, number one, we want to make money, so they brought back Pikmin 1 and 2, which just released a couple days ago.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so they
Hey,
released
people talk about
digitally.
this. Pikmin's cool. Are people having a good time?
Pikmin
Is
is
that the
cool.
virtual console or like digital purchase?
No, it's digital purchase. It's straight up. You didn't
Wow.
know? Oh,
No,
my God.
I thought it was. I thought this was like the
No.
what's it called? The tailgate ship. What's it called?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Where it's like they're
Uh,
leading the charge on this new thing. Oh gosh, what is it? Anyway, the debut titles for like a VC for
Oh,
GameCube.
gotcha. Yeah, no.
Flagship. I got there.
There you go.
Okay, okay.
That was completely off what I thought it was.
Yeah,
But no,
I wouldn't have guessed
got
that, but I get that.
that's not what they did. So they just released Pikmin 1 and 2 digitally, and it's more expensive than the physical.
I mean, Nintendo taxes. That's typical.
Right, but the physical is also not going to release for another 3 months. With Metroid Prime Remastered, they released it digitally, and then it was available, I think it was the week after, on physical. And we saw how that went. It was out of stock fucking everywhere for the longest time. It took me, I think, 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks to get it. And that was by stalking Target 24/7. That was the only way to get it for me. And so Nintendo's doing it in very corporate, businessy ways. They are doing it
like the same thing was true of Mega Man too, right? Because
Yeah,
I
Mega
don't
Man
think
Battle.
I still can't find
Yeah,
Mega Man physically.
yeah. It's
The
just
Battle
gotten in
Network.
stock, by the way. It's just back in stock. I think Target still doesn't have it, but Best Buy has had it the past week or so.
Well, I guess I'm going to NFN tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. I think even Costco might have it just for those people looking for the deals. But yeah, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered, that took 2.5 months for me to get. And that's because Square is just as bad as Nintendo on this bullshit. And these companies are doing this because they do want the digital future to come faster or sooner than later, right? And it does actually cost them more money to make physical copies. And we have seen that kind of stuff happen in the limited edition games side of things that I talk about constantly. Special Reserve Games has that Devolver money, and they're getting shit on by a lot of other corporate greed things. Like Special Reserve Games is getting screwed by other retailers being like, "Hey, we want this, guys. Let me give Devolver some extra money and do the same thing, except I can make more retail copies." And yeah, so Special Reserve Games lost a lot on Cult of the Lamb, Death's Door, and Trek to Yomi, all getting physical releases on Switch.
Dang.
And Inscription might as well very soon, by the way.
Oh no.
And so like these limited companies are getting hit by it at the same time. So it's a little anti-consumer, which we're kind of used to in video games. But at the end of the day, we do still have to vote with our wallets. So like, where do you sit on it? I kind of ride
and
that.
figuring out where you sit on it is a good question because you can only sit on something when it's physical. You can't sit on something digital,
Damn it.
Sob's
You're
talking
right,
to me.
though.
She's like,
You had me in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
What was it? So I dropped a link to one of the Discord posts that you started, Vilos, that was talking about Alan Wake, and I'm actually trying to read through this here as you're talking. But there was is it the Starfield release that in the collector's edition? It's the collector's edition of something that you're gonna get uh all these bits and pieces, and you're gonna get a piece of metal that has the code engraved on it, and you have to
Yes.
take. Is that Starfield?
Yes, and Chrome can admit to that as well. It's the Constellation Edition, the one that comes with the sweet ass watch. It actually is a really cool thing for physical collectors too.
Yeah.
But the fact is still that you don't have the game
Oh,
physically.
okay. That's the collector's the edition that Radical was talking about at the birthday celebration that we just went to. He was talking about how it's a real cool functioning watch, unlike
Oh yeah,
the Pit Boy Fallout Anniversary big
yeah,
old hunk of plastic that sits there and does nothing, and you have to
yeah.
download
This
the app
one's
on your
much
phone.
better.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's really cool.
They're like, well,
That's
Yeah,
so neat.
everyone has an identical phone that fits into this, right? And
Okay,
they'll probably
Blizzard.
never change.
but they're giving a steelbook still, which is funny. Which I love steelbooks. Don't get me wrong, but they're giving you a steelbook, and then they're giving you a little dongly looking thing that has the code printed on it, which is technically cool because it's a unique code that's printed on it. But it still rubs people the wrong way,
Well, it is. I
especially
mean,
those of us that have
Yeah.
the
a
irony, right?
PS5 disc. The disc version of a system, an Xbox Series X versus the Series S. Like my investment was here or here.
Mm.
Why would when I have the disc version of a console, why would I get a digital only?
Well, it's
It's
like a physical digital, ice cream swirl. You got the physical collection, and then you got the digital game, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah. I
and a
Best of
mean,
both
little bit
worlds.
of
yeah.
mint ice cream, mint chocolate in there too. You know. Uh,
I'm glad you're coming to town, Tegan, because we about to.
Beat your ass.
callback, callback.
It's all sight.
But at the same time, like I technically I think I do have more digital titles on even just on my Switch than I do physical. Um, just because I'm one of those people that want to experience more and more. Um, so I'm not ever against digital titles, especially if I can get half of these games, at the right time for like $2. I think
Right.
I got Grease for $4 when like 3 months after it came out, something like that.
You know,
I
you
can't
you
remember what
mentioning.
franchise did this, but there was it was like I think it was a Capcom sale that had like all certain all of a franchise's games
Yeah,
collection across its entire existence
yeah.
for like $5. I think it was either Capcom or Sega that did it. I can't remember
I
which
mean, if it was
one.
Capcom, it might have been Mega Man. I mean, I think I remember a while ago. I could be
I
totally
mean,
wrong about this,
Sega has done a ton too.
but
Yeah,
they're like, hey, here's the collection. They're like 10 games in here. You know. Um,
That's outrageous. It's awesome. There's a Twitter account called I think it's Cheap Ass Gamer.
Mhm.
a wonderful
They
Twitter
post
account.
about deals like that like all the time. So if you are one of those like deal hunters that are looking for digital titles like that, and like really awful shovelware that goes on sale like all the time, I would suggest following them on social media because they literally do not stop tweeting about the deals you can get.
Yeah, Cheap Ass Gamer's a good one. Wario 64.
Warrior 64, yeah.
I don't even use Twitter, but both of those accounts are great because all the information that they feed is trickles down. It's the only time that trickle down ever works. So it's really interesting that like Vilos, you mentioned Inscription might get a physical release, right? For me, there's this tricky thing where when I like a game enough, I tend to buy it more than once. Not always on purpose. Sometimes the second copy's not even for me. So like Inscription, I think I bought for somebody. I know there's someone else I want to buy it for because I like it enough that I want them to play it, right? But the fact that I would only, if I bought a second copy of a game, if I was able to buy a physical version, then great. Like let's say I played Inscription, I loved it, and then later, after I've beaten it, I want to go get the physical version. Great. Now I can do that. But if I know that I will love a game, let's say that I somehow knew I was going to love Inscription as much as I wanted, I could not get a physical copy day one. And most of the time, whether it's things that you've bought or just things that you specifically have talked about, you can't get the physical copy until months, like 3 to 6 months later after the release is out. And so if you love this game and you want the physical version because you want to touch it, right? You want to be able to give it to your friend. You want to physically hand it to somebody if you want them to play it, for example. The fact that you can't get those day one is really tough for me because I know that in our digital in our gaming landscape now, uh, your pre-order bonus, one of the biggest ones now, is you get to play early. So Diablo, you pay for the $100 version, Diablo 4, and you get to play 4 days early. And for people who want that, great. I don't really have a problem with the play early uh, business model. I think it's actually pretty smart. I think it's a cool way for them to get the thing out in the wild and kind of test it a little bit more before normies like me play their games. But the fact that the I don't know, the juxtaposition of like, oh, I love this game and I want it, but oh, I can only get the physical version, which I would only buy because I'm a super fan, right? As a super fan, I can only get it 3 months after release. That's complicated. Uh, it's just difficult for me to like want to even keep up super well with like even limited reserve games to see what they have, knowing that I would have to get 2 copies of a game and the second one would come in way later. You know?
I mean, that's how it was with me with Double Dragon Neon, because I love that game and I fell in love with it the instant I played it. And I think it was actually Vilos who turned me on to the fact that Limited Run had um, a physical edition for it. I mean, you can see it back there. Oh no, you can't because it's not lit up very well. But it's
It's
in that
just
whole
like
cubby right there. But it finally arrived right when I moved into this new apartment, and even though I had to wait like so long for it, so long. Actually, it was beforehand. I found out that it was just locked up in a box somewhere before
Really?
we had like after we had packed for the move. But let me see if I can. Eh, yeah. So there it is over there. Um, But it's like what you said, Tegan. It's like I love that game so much, and I wanted to have it physically, but I had to wait for so long to be able to like enjoy it, like in that physical medium. And it's going to be that way for me for what's it called, Crash Team Rumble too, because it's I think it's digital only right now because it can't you can't get it on like the Xbox Game Pass for the PC or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to wait forever to play that because I'm not turning on my PS4. I'm just not.
Which, by the way, I think the Constellation edition of Starfield is supposedly you can play up to 4 days early, but that means that they're shipping at least 4 days early. So I don't know how they're actually going to do that because none of the recent games that have had special editions like that have shipped early. So it
Well,
is what it is.
20
I will
they've
say
had
that codes are
25
kind of fun
years.
though. Because they sometimes they can spell like really fun words. Like I had a code for like a legendary Pokemon one time, and it spelled out the current era that you have just entered. Violence.
That's
So
funny.
I was like, oh, this is on a children's like
Oh,
character.
really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
it was for I think it was for Volcanion. It was for a legendary
Uh,
Pokemon that I ended up giving away on stream.
they're like
Um,
your code is ONLYFANS. Um, that's funny. Well, so we've got all these physical games. I mean, so I'm surprised to see like I don't know. Starfield's been in the making for so long. It would be nice if they didn't bungle the release by having people's copies show up late. Because we talked about the
well,
Starfield
if they pre-order
Direct.
at GameStop, that's gonna happen.
Maybe. I mean, the last time I went to GameStop, with an asterisk, is for the Fallout 4 midnight release, which when we talked about the Starfield Direct on last week's show, I had mentioned that the last time I was really super hyped for a new IP and the last time I went to a midnight release was Fallout 4. And so that was really cool to go in. I got the physical game. I even just out of chance, I won a t-shirt while I was in line. It was like 5 sizes too big for me, but it was a great nightshirt, you know? But that stuff was fun, and that stuff that you only, I mean, those are physical things that, it's memorabilia. And that stuff was really cool. I certainly hope that people's games arrive on time, whatever that means now. Of course, it's a lot more common for stuff to get released into the wild early, but that's a conversation for another time. Um, but we've got the codes like I just can't get over the irony of Starfield having like a dope collector's edition with all these physical things, but not a physical game, which I'm not upset. It's just
Yeah.
funny, it's just remarkable. Uh, we've got the PS5s that are you can get your disc version or your non-disc version. So automatically you have like a market, like a Sony's trying to market to people where some huge percentage of uh their base just doesn't give a damn about the physical discs. So they automatically know that most people won't even have the option to play because they don't care. I don't care. for the most part. I mean, I have a box of games sitting here. It's my old Xbox 360. It's a ton of Xbox 360 games, a few PS4 games like Uncharted, whatever Call of Duty I played for 45 minutes and didn't like because I got blown up by grenades in the spawn area. I'm not bitter, you're bitter.
Are
And
you sure you didn't like Call of Duty just because it's,
Call of Duty's not a bad game. Like, really, I'm not gonna rag on Call of Duty just for being mega popular and sweaty and stuff. There's fun to be had, but I loaded the game up and I hadn't played like an arena. It's not an arena shooter. I don't know what to call it, but a game where you're in a box and you spawn, in a box, and if people know where your spawn is, they can kill you before you can move. That sucked. But that's not what I'm trying to talk about. I have a box of all of these things, and I like them because they're the only physical things I really have. They're literally in a box behind a door in with a lid on it, So like I'm clearly not the guy who needs to hold on to physical stuff because it doesn't really hold value for me. But there's something about it that I really like though. I still have all of these old game manuals. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of the old World of Warcraft booklet that's like thick. I mean, it's probably like 50 pages or something. It's just a little thing. I mean, it fits in your hand, but I love that thing. The fact that it teaches you how to play the game and the basic mechanics and some very basic lore. I remember reading that on the way home from buying the game at Best Buy when I was, I don't know, in ninth grade maybe, something like that. And that's a memory I will always have. And that's a memory that, if I was reading that same exact thing on my phone, it's just another thing I'm reading on my phone. And sure, part of that is just a generational thing. And not every, info thing needs to be a book, right? And I'm not trying to say that it is, but that was a cool memory I have. And without the opportunity to experience that, um, we're definitely missing out on something, And really, I'm not quite at the level of old man shouts at the sky or anything, but those are things I really appreciate, and that's just not something that reading information on a screen is ever gonna replace. Not in the same way. Uh,
Right.
so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder 50 years from now, when everything has the ability to be as digital as possible. I wonder what the physical landscape will look like. Like not just like Carlos Vilos. Hi. I joke about you being a collector, but like you pointed out, you don't really collect stuff. You're not
Mhm.
you're not a completionist in that regard. You're not just buying everything because it's there.
Yeah.
So and so maybe I misrepresent you when I make those when I poke fun at you, but um, there will always be people who want the cool thing on their shelf, or to be
Yeah.
able to show off the thing from their favorite franchise. Um, so I wonder what that stuff's going to be like as far out as 50 years from now, because games aren't going anywhere, obviously. Uh, but it's just so murky as far as like a supply and demand thing. If I was Devolver Digital, right? Where do I think the future of this stuff is? Like, I want to
Digital's
see
right in their name.
what's that?
Digital's right in their name.
Oh well,
Well, like
oh
I
oh
think
boy, I
I think
walked right into that
he's
one.
concerned more with like what kind of things would you have to offer on the physical side 50 years from now? Because like things like art books, which are a big draw to collector's editions, art books and concept art and soundtracks, that you can like put on CDs,
Ugh.
those can all be very well digitized items. You can get like a digital soundtrack, you can get like a whole like a zip file of all the concept art and all that stuff. So like what would there be to offer down the line? I mean, figurines probably would still probably hold up really well. Like I really love my Sophia figurine back there. It's really nicely made and the proportions is banging. But like, what else could you do? I mean, nothing else really creates that physical like core memory of flipping through and reading and learning about things in that fashion.
Sure, I'd be interested if we can have someone who reads comic books here on the show sometime or on some of our content, because comic books are uh not only available digitally, to my knowledge, when new releases come out. I'm pretty sure they are, but I don't know that for a fact. But there are massive catalogs of older comics that are all digital that you can buy in a huge bundle, right? And they seem just as enjoyable and definitely more accessible. So I wonder how many parallels we could draw between physical comic books and digital things, because both of them can be consumed either way. It's really just a personal preference. But I mean, comic books aren't they're not going to stop printing physical ones anytime soon, right? It's a little different. You're not playing a comic book, especially like comic
True.
books aren't
Unless you're playing Beautiful Joe.
massively multiplayer online comic books.
I mean, true, but we have lost most magazines, and especially gaming magazines. We've lost almost completely.
Yeah.
Like Edge magazine is still around, but it's $15 a magazine.
Wow.
That's
Sometimes
pretty
20.
expensive tree.
Like for real though. And I definitely want to get back to Solve's point because we on the doc we almost had a segue there, but right before that, I did want to point out there very specifically that Remedy, the makers of Control and Alan Wake 2, specifically had they actually had their reasoning on Twitter because they know how Twitter gets, and they dealt with a shitstorm for the Control AWE expansion or DLC, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
when that was digital only. And so they explicitly said on the major announcement of Alan Wake 2, their release date and everything, they said, hey, listen, we do have our reasons. You don't need to know all of them, but right here are a few of them. And it's not only a budgetary thing. So obviously it costs every gaming company a great deal to make physical copies, especially for Switch. Sorry, but it does cost them a great deal
It's because the
for
cartridges
Switch
are too
cards.
big. They
Obviously,
It's probably the coding. I bet that's expensive coding.
it's very specific to make the cartridges. Period. That's what's wild because there's
Really?
only like 2 companies that do it.
Oh,
Yeah, and so they
and
In
fun.
true
name
Nintendo fashion.
they name their own price basically, and yeah, there's 16 gigabyte cards and 32 gigabyte cards, and most companies are like, "Fuck you, I'm not doing 32 gigabyte cards," but they'll be like, you know, uh, 8 gigs on the actual cartridge and then a 25 gigabyte download or whatever.
Right. They're like, hey,
Um,
we're releasing the new Final Fantasy, and it's on 8 32 gigabyte cartridges.
Listen, the Pixel remaster, all downloads. Okay, sorry. I say that. I think Final Fantasy 1 is technically on cart, but everything else is downloads. And those are like not even 500 megabyte games.
Well,
Like
isn't the entirety of like the Battle Network
uh,
collection also like all in physical as well? I mean, like the
I think that
possibility,
one's
like
a
the
couple of them are on the
yeah,
cart. Yeah.
like it's there. The possibility to put all of a collection on cart
Yeah.
is there, but
And they
it
still
might,
won't.
yeah. Well,
um, but but they also went with the other things. They tried to not make it look shitty to them. They were like, also it in reducing our production costs, it costs the gamer less, so they don't have to make Alan Wake 2 a $70 game like Sony is and now Nintendo is with Tears of the Kingdom. Um, so I think they officially said that Alan Wake 2 is either $40 or $50, I think, which is spectacular. But still a vast majority of gamers aren't even going to buy it at that price point. They're going to wait till it's 20, $25.
That's me.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because they don't need it day one.
Yeah.
Like us Game Pass users. And then after that, they also said at the end of the day, they also don't want to crunch. They don't want to be crunching all the way up to release date. They every game has its gone gold date, and they need it to be at a certain point in development, because they can't just get a game certified for every shop. Like especially Nintendo games,
For each
literally,
platform is what you're saying?
yeah, for each platform. Because what was it? Sunshine Shuffle. Because I talk about Xavier Nelson all the time and Strange Scaffold.
Good boy.
For Sunshine Shuffle, they kind of fucked up on the Nintendo certification.
Oh, why is
And
that? Can we talk about that for a second?
I mean, that's because they accidentally made it. They made a meme that they were teaching kids how to gamble. You
And
know,
Nintendo did not like
and
that.
Nintendo's like, bruh. So
So about that game.
yeah, it delayed the release on Switch because of the certification by like a full 2 weeks after the
That's
PC
what a
release.
ridiculous thing.
But that's something that happens plenty, and especially with Nintendo titles, because they have to have things done up to certain points. They have to have updates on a game done to a certain point, because if it's going to have a day one patch, it has to be certified with each particular shop that it's in. And so Remedy was like, bro, we don't want to deal with that. And that means that if needed, if something breaks, 10 minutes till midnight, that we can fix it without freaking out, without having to course correct in 24 hours in order for the game's release to be, just panned critically.
That happened to
Yeah.
a MMORPG called Illyria, something like that. It was really cool looking, like top-down Tibia
Top-down
RPG.
what, like?
Tibia, it's like a 2.0, like really old school like RPG that you probably played in your browser. Tibia. Like it's about like the bone.
Okay.
But yeah, it was gosh, what was it called? Like Illyrium or something like that. And it looked really, really cool. It had like RuneScape vibes and everyone was really excited about it. And it was getting really good hype, zeitgeist going. And then it released. Oh my gosh, I've never seen such a botched release in the history of the world. It was
Fallout
so
76 is pretty bad.
something.
No Man's Sky was bad, but Fallout 76 is, I think, the worst release I've ever seen.
I think this may top it because something like it's just as Vilos described, something like broke on release, and it was like when they tried to fix it, it broke everything in the game. And so for like the next 3 or so weeks, they had like release a patch like every day, like a hotfix every day. And this was a game that had like a $300 founders pack.
Oh.
Yeah, and a subscription model.
Oh no.
Yeah. So they were already asking people for this kind of money, and the game was that kind of playable. And oh my god, the Discord was on fire. It was awful. It was a mess.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about here, and I'm always excited to talk about more game stuff with you, with the two of you. But for the sake of the party topic today, do we have anything else we want to really touch on before we wrap things up here? Because this is a conversation that we regularly touch on because of who we are as players, and the way that this news keeps coming out. It just feels like it's especially, we've had news article after article after article of different games, unrelated games, over the past month or so. Man, June's been a long month. Wow. It's really been a long month. I just feel like we've seen so many games bring up specific physical release related articles lately. We mentioned Starfield. We've mentioned Alan Wake. We mentioned the Capcom collection of some sort that we'll get details on. But a bunch of stuff. It's just we're in such an unusual spot. Not even thinking about the collector stuff of Vilos. Let me get these right here. Limited run games and reserve. Oh,
Already messed up. Special
reserve games. Okay. Even if you exclude them, who I think they're more for the antiquarian types, right? The people who want a very specific thing, they know what they want, versus the studios who, hey, do we release this in a disc because of the people who want a disc to play on their PS5, or who want a physical cartridge to play on their Switch instead of a digital download? Because I think those are potentially two very different markets. There's a lot of overlap between the two, but I think when you just look at the broad market, based on so many of the things that you both have cited today, it's just nobody there's no playbook. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts that I'm listening to old episodes that came out in 2020, so I'm hearing a lot of people say stuff like, there's no playbook for the pandemic. So I've kind of got that phrase stuck in my head. But there's no playbook for these digital releases because there's also this element of like when you said there's a Twitter fire for Remedy games when they talked about their past Alan Wake physical stuff, right?
Constantly, yeah.
The really difficult thing about that is that uh, it's a very similar to I have a friend who is trying to meet people through Tinder. Uh, she's trying to find people to date, and it's frustrating because a lot of the people she's meeting just are not uh, impressive. They're just not quality people. And the interesting thing about this, which I promise is related, is that it seems like everyone she's meeting is not up to the level. You know, they're not on the level. And the unfortunate thing is, the people who are easiest to access are the only people she's seeing. So the only people she's seeing are people who are using Tinder. You know, so like it makes it feel like everyone out there is just not the right fit. You know, but in truth, only the people on the dating app she's using are not the right fit. So with the physical releases, when people get a lot of backlash from Twitter, only the people on Twitter are voicing their opinions. People who have plenty of opinions who aren't on Twitter aren't being heard in that conversation. You know, because they're not that's not where they spend their time online. But it's just an interesting thing where this dynamic of the very loudest, most online people have their voices heard in a very specific way, and companies have to respond to that because it creates this PR nightmare. So I wonder what the wider I wish we could send a Gallup poll out and hear how people really feel about physical releases, not just the people on social media, but gamers at large. Which, you know, send a mailer out, right? Do people still check their mail? Uh,
Oh my God, get like a census going.
The Venn diagram of all these potential people is getting so messed up right now.
Yeah. So I really want to learn more, but I think about that a lot, that a lot of companies only know what people online are telling them, and there are tons of people who are just not on those services, the platforms, who also have opinions, but it's really hard for people like me who, like, maybe I'm moving to Discord only from now on. We had a conversation about it in our Discord earlier today. Uh, you know, now I'm like, well, how do I make my voice heard from companies? I think the only thing I can do now is spend my money, because if I'm not on Twitter or Facebook or other platforms, then do they even hear what I have to say? You know, and it'd be a shame if like these physical releases went away, because maybe in my mind, a lot of the people who would be the most interested in physical releases are people who might not be super digital people. You know, like an always online person might not be the same person who buys these products, but the people who want them the most might just not be heard by the company. So I don't know.
We need to bring back
Sure.
like PO boxes and stuff because, like, they used to have stuff like that where you could send in your feedback and like comments and stuff, like, or they would have like the 800 hotline that you could call. We need to bring stuff like that back because you're right, absolutely. Like people who don't get online won't be heard because that's where all of the people are looking for that feedback.
I
They don't have any avenue to provide feedback for like analog, is that the right word? Analog
Sure.
people. Uh, as much as they used to, if they still
Right.
do. Like I don't even know if they still do, and that's part of the problem.
Today I heard on the local NPR affiliate there was a whole story on how this one person during COVID was writing into the governor on paper, like handwriting letters, and sent in tons and tons and tons of letters, and the governor read all of them, and they ended up meeting. This journalist got them to meet together, and they had a whole show of being like, "Hey, you guys have corresponded a whole lot. Now you finally get to meet each other and stuff." And they had a conversation on like, well, how many people are actually spending the time to write a written letter that they really thought about versus the people who type stuff online or send an email where they didn't proofread it. They really sent it when they were really emotional about something, good or bad. And how much of the conversation about COVID or of any of this stuff is just really emotional people in the moment, and not the well thought out kind of thoughts that you might have gotten when you have the physical nature of writing the stuff down. Anyway, I'm gonna shut
For
up.
sure.
I'm gonna shut up.
Speaking of, I do want to have Sav with their moment here on getting a little bit of the good feels for the digital side, just in case our digital overloads are listening and maybe want to help us out a little
Yeah, you hear that, CIA agent? I'm on your side. Kind of.
bit.
We'll talk. But no, I mean, as much as I do like my physical editions, I love opening my Switch case and seeing the cavalcade of like all of my stuff, just sitting there all nice and neat, and then looking behind me and seeing all my game like cases just there and that all in a straight line and stuff. Like it's so look how satisfying that is. Well, actually, where's the game, and why is that one missing?
You got to know which one it is, though.
It's probably Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
But it's so satisfying, isn't it? Just seeing that whole collection there. So as much as I do love that, and I love ejecting and inserting the cartridge, that tactile feeling of feeling the resistance at the spring, like it's so good, all of that. But there are some games that just don't come available in that way. And otherwise you would never be able to experience them if that was something that you were only interested in, like just collecting physical games like that. One of those things is, and I've talked about this game a lot recently, Monday Night Combat, which is like this really hybrid FPS MOBA sort of affair that like futurized like sports into this like combat-y sort of affair. It was really, really fun, but it only came out on Xbox Arcade for the 360. So if I was like a super duper staunch physical only collector, I never would have been able to have that experience. And it was one of the most formative gaming experiences I've ever had. It's what kickstarted me into content creation. It's what introduced me to server like games that had like servers on them, like dedicated servers like TF2 and things like that. It's the first game that I joined a clan in. Like we had a whole clan, and like we had like memes and everything. Like it was the first time I really, really felt a part of a gaming community. And if I had been so just adamant about not doing digital stuff, I mean, where would I be right now? Like I never would have had that experience. And then there are some other games too that are being re-released after having been released on consoles in the past as digital only titles, which you can only acquire digitally now because it's like lost data or something like that, or maybe that's just out of print. One of those being one of my favorite, like literally top 5 games of all time, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Um, I love that game. I'm so glad that it came to the Switch for Virtual Console. Or no, actually, it's remastered. Never mind, it's remastered, right? So you could buy it digitally remastered. I think eventually they released a physical copy. I could be wrong about that, but at the time,
I mean, we owned. So Crystal Chronicles was the first Final Fantasy I ever played. The only two I've ever played are Crystal Chronicles and 13. So we had the physical release for the GameCube.
right? I'm talking
You're
about present
saying,
day though.
yeah,
Yeah.
on the modern. Okay, I see.
Yeah, because I mean, I do have my GameCube. I don't know if I still have the Crystal Chronicles game, but I can't take my GameCube with me. I can take my
It's got
Switch
a
with
handle
me.
on the back. So, I mean, so who
I mean,
says?
I can't play my
First
GameCube with
portable
me unless I
console.
have like a wall outlet or a generator or a Pikachu. No,
You got to put a handle on your generator and bring that with you.
I did used to call my GameCube my lunchbox because it looks like a lunchbox when you're carrying it by the handle. So, but no, I mean, like FFCC, as I endearingly call it, because it is a mouthful. Is available digitally, and I love that. I love that I can still not only like relive the experience that I had in the past, but it's available. It's more accessible to other people too, especially those who are digital only and don't want like that physical, the cloggery of it all. Because I mean, if you do let it get out of hand, you do have to kind of Marie Kondo like everything. But so I see both sides of the conversation. I really do prefer digital or physical whenever I can get it. But digital isn't bad. I don't want to go all digital. I really don't. I really hope it doesn't go that way. Um, or if it does, I hope it doesn't happen in my lifetime. But
You got a
I
long
mean,
life ahead of you. There's a lot of room for dystopian disappointment.
yeah,
We
that's
did
fair. I mean, the
pass
way
the
that
climate
technology
thing.
boomed between 1990 and now is, I mean, it's very likely it might happen in our lifetime.
I mean, how I had a conversation with somebody the other day that if you walk up to a kid right now and ask them to, pretend you're taking a picture of someone, or just pretend you're taking a picture, our generation might do this, but their generation will do, this.
Yeah.
Put a selfie up. It's just a different world. So yeah, like 20, 30, 50 years from now, what does it look like? I hope you're alive in 20, 30, 50 years, Sav. I hope you are. I hope we're gaming together still.
I'll never die.
You know what they say about
That's a threat,
heroes.
not a promise.
You don't want to see me in 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
You will not like.
Let's see. Okay, well, Did we cover all our bases?
Oh yeah, that was a very good discussion.
All right, bases covered. All right, chat. I dropped a link. We'll have this, I don't know, somewhere in the show notes. You can always find everything on our Discord. But I dropped a link in Discord to the post that Vilos made for, it's called "The Time Has Come for Digital Only." I'll drop some more of the stuff that we've talked about during the show and stuff that we find afterwards in that thread. That's a thread that you can be a part of. It's all about having a conversation, not just a one-way, not a one-way street. So if you would like to be a part of that, keep an eye out for that link here. I just put it in here again. But yeah, we'd love to see more people on our Discord to talk about this. What does this mean to you? You can tweet at us. You can tweet at Vilos on Twitter at Party Invite Show. You can join our Discord, discord.gg/Party Invite Show. We would love to hear what the digital and physical future means to you. Do you like to collect stuff? Do you like to have a physical copy to give to your friends? Do you have opinions on DRM? There are all sorts of things to talk about, and we'll talk about this again, no doubt.
New Splatfest, physical, digital, or both. I don't know what the third option would be.
I tell you what, when we get to our game stream, we're gonna put a poll up, and we're gonna figure out the 3 for that one. We're gonna see where everybody falls. So thanks everybody for watching. I've been Tegan. That's Vilos over there.
Yep.
Down here we've got Sav.
Yay! Oh, Ethereal. That's the name of the RPG.
Ethereal.
I got there.
Wow, just in the nick of time. Let's see. We're gonna be right back with more game stream. We're gonna take a break, but for everybody else, we will see you in a couple weeks when we're back. No podcast next week. Just a reminder there. No streams next week, and hopefully 2 Mondays from now we'll have the final episode of Bleak Sword. I don't know. I thought this week was gonna be the last one, but then it really kicked my butt. So. We'll see about that. But thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again soon. And be good to each other. Be good to yourselves.
See you, podcast listeners.
Bye.
Bye.